The true waking up is not to wake up in a body, in a world. It is to wake up as consciousness, in which the body and the world appear. That is the true waking up. The knowing with which each of us now seems to be knowing our experience. This multiplicity and diversity of objects that each of us is now knowing. The knowing with which all of that is known does not belong to a finite mind living inside your body. The apparently finite mind living inside your body is a temporary localization of infinite consciousness, the one mind. And this one mind localizes itself in the form of each of our individual minds. And through each of those individual minds seems to experience a multiplicity and diversity of objects and others. Moments of intense fear can precipitate this recognition, just as moments of intense grief or suffering can also do so. But these are, in a way, artificial means of initiating this waking up. There is a much gentler way, a much more natural way which is available to everyone at all times and under all circumstances, which is simply to ask ourselves the question, what is it that is aware of my experience? How do I know that the knowing with which I know my experience is located in the body? I don't. The body is an appearance in my mind. The mind is not an appearance in the body. We have just been persuaded by our culture to believe that the mind appears in the body, when it is everybody's obvious experience that the body appears in the mind. You are much bigger than your body. You are much bigger than your finite mind. All that is necessary is to keep going back again and again and again to the reality of your experience. What is it that is aware of my experience? I am that. Until in time this deep experiential conviction, not an intellectual conviction, although it may begin as such, but in time this deep experiential conviction begins to take root in us. I am consciousness. We feel it as strongly as we used to feel, I am the body. And as we become accustomed to taking our stand as consciousness, to making our home in and as consciousness, it begins to become clear, gradually in most cases, that this consciousness is without limits. The limits are only for the finite mind. The consciousness out of which the finite mind is made has no limits. It is ever present. It doesn't appear or disappear. It wasn't born, it's not going to die. And this simple, intimate, non-objective experience of being aware is not mixed with anything other than itself. There is nothing in itself which can limit itself, harm itself, agitate itself. Thus its nature is peace, imperturbable peace. That is why in the Indian tradition our essential nature is said not to be just sat and chit, being and awareness, but sat, chit, ananda, being, awareness and peace. This is not an extraordinary experience that I'm speaking of, that I have access to, that you don't. It's just the self in each of us. The very knowing with which the very ordinary knowing with which each of us is now knowing their experience. Whatever that experience might be, some of us may be having a very pleasant, peaceful experience. Others will be feeling resistant, bored. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the experience is. It is being known. That which knows it is infinite consciousness. All that is required is to become interested in the nature of the knowing with which we know our experience, rather than being fascinated by the objects that we know. Leave your thoughts, feelings, sensations and perceptions alone. Consciousness will take care of them in time. They do not need to be purified. They do not need to be changed. They do not need to be stilled. Consciousness is shining brightly in all experience. All there is to the sound of the aeroplane is hearing. And all there is to hearing is the knowing of it. All there is to our most uncomfortable feelings is feeling. And all there is to feeling is the knowing of it. Wherever you are in experience, you can just take these two simple steps. All I know of thought is thinking, and all I know of thinking is the knowing of it. All I know of my feelings is feeling. All I know of feeling is knowing. All I know of the sight of the world is seeing. All I know of seeing is the knowing of it. With these two simple steps we can go directly from any experience, however positive or negative, directly to the reality of ourselves. And then we just rest there. And in time, consciousness self-liberates itself from all the limitations that thought and feeling have superimposed upon it. That is the essence of the direct path.